In this example, we're going to take a look at sequences within Mothernode CRM. These are email sequences, but they don't have to be. You can make sequences that include tasks and calendar events only. But for the most part, people will be using email sequences to drip information to existing customers or leads and opportunities. So let's get started. We can find sequences underneath our marketing tab in the follow-up sequences. This brings us to the list we just saw on the screen. Over here, what we can do is we can access any one of our sequences. We can delete them, edit them, duplicate them, and so on. What I'm going to do for the sake of this exercise is create a brand new one and show you how easy it is. I'm going to create a new follow-up sequence that is going to go to existing customer accounts and share some information with them. So in this case over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this sequence a name that will appear in the list. So I'll call this one Marketing Example. Use this with existing customers. And then I can tie a category to this, and I'll call this one Demo for a live demo, and I'm going to hit Create the Sequence. Alright, so now that this has been saved, down below I have a couple of options. What I can do is I can send an email, I can create a calendar event, or I can create a task. Okay, so I'm going to do the most popular first is sending an email. So as it relates to sending the email, what I want to do is identify the step in this particular sequence, and I want to give that step a name. So for the sake of being simple, I'm going to call this one Step 1. Now by default, this is set to send as soon as possible. That means that the moment I put one of my contacts into this particular sequence, this email will send out as soon as possible. That as soon as possible is usually around 5 minutes, within a 5-minute window mark from the time that I've added them to the sequence. Okay. I also have other options. I can choose number of days after a person is added to a follow-up sequence. I can choose tomorrow. If I add them today, it'll be today plus 1, and then I can also choose the time. By default, it's 12 a.m. if I don't select the time, but if I want, I can choose a different time during the day. Okay? That's the next option. The next option after that is X number of days before a particular calendar date. So, for instance, over the July 4th weekend, you might want to craft a sequence that basically says that goes out X number of days before the 4th of July, announcing what your holiday hours might be. Okay? So you can use that in a variety of different ways. Again, you have the time controls there as well, and then on a specific date. So if you want to choose a particular calendar date and time to send this email on, then you can go ahead and do that too. All right, perfect. So those are your options. We're going to go back to as soon as possible. Again, if I want to switch this over to an event or a task, I can do that too, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it at email right here. And then I have my category of my templates. I'm going to go down here to Taekwondo. And then over here, I have all of my templates that are part of that category that I want to send to. So in this one, I'm going to use this, the Fight Like a Girl campaign, and I'm going to click Save. All right. So I've added my first email, and you can see down below, this is how many times it's been delivered before and how many opens it has. So this helps you gauge the interest in the audience. Getting 43 opens out of 14 deliveries is pretty good. Okay, so you can see that that's a keeper. So in this case over here, if I need to make some changes to this, of course I can edit the step. If I want to get right into editing the template and changing this, I can click on this and edit the template as well. And if I need to, I can duplicate this. So if I want this to occur again somewhere in my marketing sequence, I don't have to go through the process of building this again and selecting the template. I can just duplicate it. And if I don't like this, of course, I can go ahead and delete it. If I want to make some quick changes without having to edit the entire step, I can go over here as soon as possible. This pops up here, and then I can choose to add it at another time, another interval. Okay, so if I want to do that there, I get that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's add another one. Again, I'm going to go down here to Send, and we'll call this one Step 2. And this one is going to be a couple of days after. Let's say 5 days after. And I'll choose 9 a.m. in the morning. And then I'll go back to selecting my different sequence. I'll use this one here. And now you can see, you get the idea. I'm building these ones. Okay? And the beat goes on. So basically I have as many here that I want to add. And of course I can change these if I want to duplicate this one again. bring it down here. Now they're both as soon as possible. So what I want to do is change this one maybe to X days, or let's just continue with this theme. I'll do this one 10 days after. Try and spread them out, okay? So that way you can see what's working. So ultimately here I have a drip for 3 sequences, okay? Three templates that are going to go out in this particular sequence. Another thing I can do over here is I can put a calendar event. If I've not heard from this person, or I want to schedule a phone call or a follow-up via phone, I can do that as well. I can build a calendar event over here, create that calendar. This pulls from my action types or my activity types. I can assign it to somebody. So in this case, it's going to be Kelly Jenkins. I'll call this one intro call. After. This will pop up on Kelly's calendar as a calendar appointment for her to call up on this time. Click Save. And now you can see I have a calendar appointment that says as soon as possible. I can change that over here to say X number of days. Again, keeping with that sort of theme, I can do on the 11th day. Something like that I want to follow up. See how things are going. Okay, so now I've set up a calendar appointment for that day and that time. All right, so that's how you can build these sequences. I can do the same thing with tasks. I can assign a task to somebody, a particular responsibility that's supposed to take place at any given time during that sequence, and it'll be assigned to that appropriate person. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like when I add somebody to this sequence. Now for testing purposes, what I recommend that you do is set everything, this is very important, set everything to as soon as possible, okay? That way you test, you send all of the sequences at the same time to you. You make sure that you're happy with the order that they're coming in. If you want to spread them out, throughout a day, just to see what it looks like when it's being dripped to you, 1 hour at a time, you can do that too. But I'd highly recommend that you test the sequences first to make sure that the messages are consistent and they flow well as the story is being told in the email. Okay? So you can do that. So let's take a look at what this looks like on the front end. We've now called this one marketing example. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into one of my accounts. So I'll go into a customer account over here. I'll pull up this particular person, and I'm going to mail to them. So what I want to do is, again, I can do this in leads and opportunities as well in my sales prospects, and again, I can use this with my existing customer accounts. So there's a variety of different reasons you can be dripping information to people. In this particular instance, you can see that this is an example that's going to my existing customer account. So they've opted in, so I do have permission to email market to them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on follow-up sequences. They're already in a couple. If they're completed, I can remove them entirely if I want, if I don't want to see those anymore. You might want to keep them for history. I'm going to go over here, I'm going to remove this. And then now I'm going to look at my list, I'm going to choose marketing example, and you can see when I click add the follow-up sequence, it shows me over here that these are the dates that these particular sequences are going to run. Okay, so I have confirmation now that this person has been put in this particular sequence, and we know that right now they're going to get this one today. Okay, so let's take a look at what that looks like in our demo account. So let's take a look what that email looks like when it comes through. If you want, so we know that we're going to get this one today, but if we want, we can run all of these together at the same time. That's another way of testing. Okay, if you want to put the drips in normally and just force these to run, I'll just say all of them so that you can see what they get. So even though this one's coming soon, you're going to see this one too, and then this one as well. Okay, so now we'll come back to this in a moment. Let's take a look at the email. All right, so this is my demo email account. You can see here that I've received the 3 emails. Now, note that the way I have my Gmail working is that it files the 2 identical emails together. Okay, so it's basically saying that this has been sent before. So when I open one of these up, you can see that here it is, everything I needed included. Okay, and then down below, I have another one, which is the Fight Like a Girl campaign. And ultimately, I have everything here as well. So everything looks great. So this is ready to send, okay? If for whatever reason you need to cancel any of these, you can go ahead and you can cancel them and stop them. You can stop them here. You can remove them entirely. Nothing will be sent, okay? Just one important reminder that if at any time you add to the sequence, meaning that you create more messages to go out, more emails to go out, because Andy is part of this, he will continue receiving those new items as well. Okay, just something to remember. All right. Okay, finally, where else can you see this? Well, you can see all of your marketing activity underneath the marketing dashboard, and you can see the latest up here is Andy's email that was read a couple of minutes ago. You can see where he read it. Over here is the platform and the browser, so he's looking at on a desktop Windows. Okay. And over here, he's been quite engaged in this. His engagement is basically 33 opens for his 32 emails that were sent. This is his latest activity, is what he's opened, the Fight Like a Girl one. But then down below, if you click on this, it's going to show you all of his activity and everything that he's opened in the past. Okay, so you can see he's opened the other ones as well. Any things he may have clicked on in there will be included too, so you can gauge his interest. Obviously, this is a demo account, so this is a little bit excessive in what you would typically see, but at the same time too, you get the idea that it records all of their interest within the different areas. Open, delivered, that sort of thing. You'll also see bounced, undeliverable, and those sorts of activities as well. Okay, so that concludes marketing sequences. I hope you enjoy.